Hi, this is Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To. Today, we're going to take a look at what is potentially the very best RTX 2070 you can buy. Keep watching to find out more. Okay, so welcome back. Here is another video. Now this is going to be an unboxing. I'm not going to get bogged down with all the kind of graphs, charts, benchmarks, FPS and all that kind of stuff, because to be quite honest with you, I don't have the facilities to do it. I haven't got a processor which can really make this thing stretch its legs. So we're just going to be having a look at the card, having a walkthrough, looking at the connections, looking at the general design and the pros and cons of buying this card. So first of all, full disclosure, this is a card sent to me by Zotac UK for a review, and I did say to them at the time I wanted an RTX 2060 to take a look at because it's more about the price range that I would normally look for a graphics card. Unfortunately, like everywhere in the UK at the moment, they haven't got any. Everyone's out of stock. There are very, very few RTX 2060s out in the wild at the moment, purely because it's a great card at a great price. Instead, we've got an RTX 2070 to take a look at. So I suppose the best thing to do, being, like I said before, this is an unboxing channel, let's take it out of the box. Now before we do, let's have a quick look around the box. Actually, that would make a lot of sense. So this is the ZOTAC Gaming GeForce RTX 2070. As you can see from the box, it's a triple fan design. It's a huge card, massive heatsink. So if cooling is your thing, this is definitely gonna be right up your street. If you're into your RGB lighting, you've got LEDs on the side of the GPU bracket, so you can change that to whichever color suits your fancy using the SPECTRA lighting system. Also, if you want to overclock it, now this is a good thing about this card. If you want an RTX 2070, you're not overly confident what you're trying to do with overclocking and the thermals, and even though the RTX now is actually a lot more difficult than previous generations because there's a lot more going on, there's a lot more variables, the variable refresh rate, the variable power consumption, all that kind of stuff, overclocking these things isn't as easy as it used to be. This card is pretty much overclocked to the max straight out of the box. That being said, you can still expect to get a little bit more out of it depending on your thermal conditions inside your case and also your power delivery. Why are you going to buy an RTX 2070? Well, at the moment, GTX 1080, not many of them around and a little bit underpowered compared to this. 1080 Ti, slightly quicker in quite a few games and applications, but more expensive. So at the moment, this fits into a pretty nice sweet spot between kind of all of the cards, and also depending on the resolution you're at. If you're running it 1080p, to be honest with you, this probably isn't the card for you, unless you're looking for extremely high frame rates. If you're maybe at 1440p or 4K, this is going to be definitely up your street. The extra memory, the memory bandwidth, this thing does actually come into its own, noticeably so at the higher resolutions. So price-wise in the UK at the moment, you're looking at about £539 for this currently, which in itself is about £10 cheaper than the Founders Edition, which ironically is slower than this one. So you save £10 and you get roughly a 5 to 7% faster card. Seems like a pretty good deal. So let's talk about some of the specs of this card. Like I said, triple fan card, ideally suited to 1440p gaming, using the TU106 chip, 8 gigs of DDR6 with a 256-bit memory bus. This is pretty much a monster card. Now, out of the box, 1830 megahertz on the cores, 1860 on the memory. Now, people have overclocked these quite considerably, and again, because of the triple fan and the actual excellent power delivery, people have got these up to kind of the 2000s. I actually did a benchmark on this earlier, although I said I wouldn't go into, but it did say that the core was running at 2100 megahertz, which I found was quite amazing. So I screen grabbed it. This is a monster of a card, let's not mess around. This is not for the faint-hearted either, or for the faint of wallet. £500+ is still an awful lot of money for a graphics card. But you do get 2304 memory shader units, you get 64 ROPs, and you get support for RTX and DLSS. So when all things are considered, it is actually a pretty good bargain. So let's take it out of the box and take a look at it in closer detail. So the box itself has got the kind of slightly legendary spinning fan design with the plastics, which hopefully you can see. A little bit of a gimmick, but still looks pretty nice. This is actually a monster card. When it got delivered, I was actually surprised. I thought it was something else altogether. I didn't realise it was a graphics card purely for the bulk of the packaging. So what do we get in here? We get a bunch of leaflets. So we get our warning, make sure you've got the latest drivers, blah, blah, blah. You get the installation guide, quick installation guide, and you get a little bit more information about ZOTAC themselves, like their ZBox gaming PC stuff, which you can check out one of them up here. So there's paperwork out of the way. Not great. Also in the box, we get a dual Molex to 6-pin connector. And we also get a dual 6-pin connector to 8-pin PCI Express connector. Now, realistically, if you need to use these on your power supply, you shouldn't be buying this graphics card. Seriously, have a word with yourself. Here is the star of the show. So there you have it, the Zotac RTX 2070 AMP Extreme Edition. This one is kind of insane, in my opinion. It is huge. So you've got 3 fans on the top, in a plastic shroud, which actually some people have said it would have been nicer with a metal shroud, but considering the weight of this thing, I think a metal shroud on there would probably be the last thing you want. So moving round to the show side. Now on this side you've got an absolute ton of heat sinks there. Basically the entire card is covered in heat sinks. Overheating is definitely not going to be a problem with this. Although obviously that depends on the case you're putting in, but in theory, as long as you've got good ventilation in your system, this shouldn't get very hot at all. Now on the side you've got the ZOTAC gaming logo, which illuminates blue as standard, but you can also change that, like I said before, in the SPECTRA lighting application. You've got your power connectors. Personally, I would have preferred to have seen these power connectors either on the side, maybe hidden underneath this section here. This section here is completely empty pretty much. There's not a lot going on in there. You can actually remove some of the screws there, or if you're careful, you could put your PCI Express power cables through there from the back and route them straight into there to make it look a little bit neater. There's no airflow really going down to that end, so you're not going to be blocking anything off, and will possibly make the installation look a little bit neater. So moving around to the back, you've got just a pretty flat section there, although it is slightly ventilated, so if there is any heat build up there, it's going to escape. It's not a sealed over unit like it is with the Founders Edition. Moving around to this side again, the heatsink fins come right the way through. There's a lot of metal involved in this. And that tiny little bit there is your PCI Express connector, which looks completely dwarfed by the rest of this card. So it moves us around to the backplate. So you've got a plain metal backplate with the ZOTAC gaming logo on and Live to Game logo. A little bit of space left open there for the back of the CPU die or GPU die, which actually to me seems a slightly weird thing. You'd have thought really they would cover the whole thing up. I guess there must be a reason for it. I don't know that reason. Maybe you can let me know in the comments. Why is that bit left open? Seems a little odd to me. So we've also got pretty easy access to the screws, and all the screws are normal cross-headed screws. So if you want to take the back plate off, take it all apart to replace the cooler if you wanted to, or even if you just want to clean up the thermal pads or apply some new thermal paste, pretty easy to do. And I've actually noticed they haven't got the sticker on there saying void if removed, which is a nice thing to see. I know some regions still do have that. I think with the right to repair now, we are pretty much allowed to take these things apart as long as we're not doing daft things with them. But graphics cards you do daft things with, that's what they're for. Overclocking and doing daft things with. So on the back for the I/O, we've got a display port, another display port, an HDMI, another display port, and a USB Type-C. So this is actually a really nice thing which ZOTAC have done. There's actually 3 display ports on there, which for people that have got triple monitor setups, that is going to be an absolute must. It's really nice to see quite a lot of these cards have only got 2 display ports, 1 HDMI and 1 Type-C, or different versions of that. No VGA for obvious reasons, and no DVI because, well, it's 2019. Another thing of this card is, as you'll notice, where the PCI Express screws would go to secure the card, the card itself isn't actually much taller than that. So if you've got a slightly more narrow chassis, this is going to be fantastic. And also for those of you that are mounting it in a vertical chassis, again, no problem whatsoever. Although going back to what I said previously, if you are mounting it vertically, because you've got the power cables coming out the top, it would have been nice to have them at the back, just to make it look a little bit neater, rather than having this nice clean line ruined by some cables coming out of there. Of course, if you get some modded cables which match the theme of your case, then it's actually going to be a good thing rather than a bad thing. So to summarize, a fantastic card, very heavy, lots of cooling potential, lots of power delivery potential, but also a kind of bit of a wallet buster. At £539, this is by far, I would say personally, out of my price range. If you've got that kind of money to spend and you want an RTX 2070 and you want the best RTX 2070 that is on the market at the moment, then this is definitely worth a look. I would probably edge against a GTX 1080 or 1080 Ti at the moment, purely because of the RTX and the DLSS. Now, RTX and DLSS are still in their infancy and not widely supported, but we all know it's just a matter of time. DirectX 12 is going to have it baked into it. So again, it is only a matter of time until these features start getting properly utilised and are more evident in games. Now, speaking of games, I've been using this today, playing some games, and I've had Battlefield 5, obviously, because RTX. And with the game on Ultra, on my 1080p monitor, absolutely flawless. It looked fantastic, it played fantastic, and it actually made me play the game better. Whether it's because of the card, whether it's because of the graphics, I don't know. But I certainly enjoyed the game a lot more than I did with my previous 1070. So, go figure. So, is this the card for you? Do you have nearly £550 knocking around in your wallet? Do you want to spend it on something nice? Do you want to buy a Zotac product? Let me know in the comments what you think. This has been the RTX 2070 Amp Extreme Edition. I've been Mike, this is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and we will catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.